Good evening and welcome to another edition of We Are the South Stand. Tonight I am going to be joined by Patrick also. There is no Martin tonight, but Mr. Always on Time, like a shanty. Big Tone, what are you saying? You good?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, really good. I'm always on bloody time, unlike Martin.
You are always on time. You're always the first. So, by the way, and it is appreciated.
Hey, no problem.
It is appreciated. Actually, Martin is often late. Now you say that.
Oh, he's always bloody late. Podcast shows, he's always phone calls. He's late, mate. He's the late man. But yeah, no, it's good to be here. It's because I appreciate it a lot being here. Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you for coming. And obviously, I've been away. Everyone else, I think for one reason or another, we haven't had shows. I think for 2 weeks, is it? So
yeah, a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks. Bit to talk on. I'm trying to think if, and by the way, people, you will notice I am still squinting. But I refuse to put these on until the likes are up higher. So I'm going to keep reminding, there's only 30 of you watching right now. That will go up shortly. I need the likes to be well over 100 before I put these on. So everyone that's watching this, you get those likes up. We are here to be joined by another man. So let me bring him in right now. And then, Tony, let me edit you quickly. There we go. Patrick, can you hear us? Patrick.
I can hear you.
And you can see us. How are you?
I'm okay. Just doing a few things today.
It's a better setup than you usually have, isn't it?
This is not a better setup. This is the car.
Oh, really? I didn't know that was a car. So I'm glad that you told me, because I was thinking, what type of restaurant is that he's in at the moment?
It's not a restaurant. It's a car. I'm just at my daughter's training. So as she trains,
oh, okay.
She's done at like 6, half 6. So I will be here.
So we were just talking about, we've got a lot to talk on. So the last time that we spoke, Patrick, was after the derby. I think, Tone, we have also spoke since the derby, haven't we? Right, yeah. Do you know what? I'm still getting used to this. City having one game a week during spring is very bizarre. But so we've only had one game. So I guess we can crack on with some positive talk. Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
No, Patrick, you don't sound like you want to be positive.
No. Do you know what? Do you know what I wanted to say? I was you know where you overhype a team. I didn't overhype. I thought they were good. Crystal Palace. I thought they were a decent team until I was like, after we beat them, I was like, okay, City got away with one by beating Crystal Palace, and then I saw Newcastle just beat them so easily. I was like, oh my god! And I mean, like, it was so easy, Ton. I was like, is Newcastle that good? And I thought about, I was like, how did we beat Newcastle? Because Palace were not that bad. Let's not be honest.
Do you know what? Do you know how we beat Newcastle? We played Newcastle before the League Cup. Because think last time they were in the League Cup, when they played United, they had a really bad run of form before the League Cup. And it seems like winning that League Cup even more so this time just feels like it's given them an extra lease of life to just, smack everyone up. But no, on Palace, I think, do you know what? So before the Palace game, all I was hearing off of everyone was, Palace are one of the most informed teams. And I was going, do you know what? I just have this feeling that we're winning it. I think all of this, they're being overhyped, and it's at the Etihad. We're gonna smack them up. And then the lineup came out, and God, it was the usual one. Vardiel and Diaz were centre back partnership. Happy that O'Reilly was getting the nod again. Rico on the right, not overly happy, but I still prefer Rico on the right than I do on the left. So it was still okay.
Oh, yeah.
And no Kuzanov, which surprised me a little bit, but, he seems to be giving him a rest. Nico got the nod. Happy with that. But then after that, it was like, for fuck's sake, not this again. And I'll be completely 100. I was saying I don't like. I think I put my predicted lineup, and I had Nico. I think I had Nico Grealish, Bernardo Silva in midfield, and everyone was saying no, it's got to be Kev over Bernardo Silva, and I was saying not for me because I feel like we need Kev off the bench coming on and impacting games now. Right, that was my thinking. But then it was like I'm trying to think up top. Yeah, sorry. Then we had. I think who do we have? We had. So
we had Mamouche, didn't we, up top?
we had Marmouche
And McAtee and James McAtee.
McAtee, yeah.
McAtee,
And the McAtee one threw me a little bit because I am a McAtee fan, but it was just like
I was surprised.
I don't really get this. What
He said he was looking for players who can smell the goals, players who can arrive in the box, and players who can easily score. So I think he was looking for goal scorers. Then I think he said McAtee is one of them. Even though after the press he said McAtee had chances to score 3 goals but scored 1. But yeah, but you can tell that I think McAtee has a talent of getting into the box, which is true. So he actually was picking players that can get into the box. That's what he said. And
And by the way, when someone said Kev won us the match, I was wrong. For me to say I was very wrong. I'm just putting it out there that I was saying Kev shouldn't have started that game because I was really getting this feeling that Kev is unable to impact games from the start now. And I was thinking, do you know what? Let the game get stretched, then bring Kev on. And then the game kicks off. Go on, Tone.
I was just going to say, I don't think many, though, thought De Bruyne, not capable, that sounds a bit harsh, but I don't think many thought maybe Kev was... is capable really of delivering that level of a performance because he'd been told he can go, and since he's been told he can go, he started every game, which to me is weird because just before that he wasn't starting games, and then it's like, sorry Kev, you're not good enough anymore, you're gonna have to go in the summer. But now you can start, which is a bit weird, but he proved that. Well, I think he can still do it.
And what's come out since is that he said something about that for the last 6 weeks he's still been playing in discomfort. And to be frank with you, that does make sense with the way he's been striking the ball recently. Anyway, the game kicks off, and I was in a beautiful. Well, the resort I was staying in Ras Al Khaimah had a sports bar, really good sports bar. Had about 9 screens in there. They told me I'd gone the day before to make sure it was on. When I got in there, they said, "Oh yeah, Manchester City, 5:30 this evening," and I was like, "No, it's on now." And they're like, "Oh no, we've only got 2 channels," and I was like, "What?" Anyway, luckily they found it, got it on. Game kicks off, and 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. God bless new VAR. And I was thinking, what is this? McAtee had a couple of chances in that first half as well. He was through on goal that he failed to take. Should. So, but then King Kev steps up, and do you know it's interesting because when we got that free kick, sorry, he hit the post just before, didn't he?
And then he hit the post and it went in.
Then when we got that free kick, I was just thinking back to the United game, and I thought Marmouche was going to have it again. And it was nice to see Kev roll back the years, and his reaction. Do you know what? Because one thing that I think really worried me in that United game more than anything was I was starting to think that this City team or this City squad don't care. I don't care if we get Champions League football or not. In fact, I think, Patrick, did we have a conversation where we were saying that some of these players ultimately aren't going to be in next season, so that what they got to play for?
Yeah, I think we did. And you know what? I think even if maybe KDB was told, we're all human beings. If maybe he was told that you're not getting a contract during that United game and that's Pep started playing him, I wouldn't blame him because he also had this other demeanor in the match. He looked uninterested, not uninterested, but he looked like there was something in his head. Because I think somebody said KDB, I think one of the guys, the American sports channel said, KDB didn't look like he was up for it. So I wouldn't blame him if he was still processing it in his head. That how can they say no? Maybe he did offer to lower his wages and they still say no. But You're right. I think we did say that some of the players, what the point are they playing for if they are not here? But it was also here and refreshing to hear KDB say, "Oh, if I'm leaving this club, I'd rather leave them on a high." I think he said that. I'd rather leave them on a nice result for the FA Cup and leave them in the Champions League. That's what he said. But to be honest with you, there was a different fire in him. Maybe that's why he decided. Maybe at the beginning he was still playing, saying, "I'm leaving," with the Crystal Palace thing. Then I think something clicked in him, saying, "Nah, as captain, I'm not gonna allow this." Because that was the old Man City. Like there was a point where I think Crystal Palace were dominating us, and the players, which nobody was galvanizing the players. And then when he just took things like that's why most City fans were saying that looks like a KKDB masterclass. I know people will say, "Why are you insulting Pep, this and that?" But there was no insult to Pep. I think people did not get where people were coming from. It showed from the match. It has happened in the past before for City, even when you're on a high. It just showed that by KDB just stepping up and just saying, "I'm not going to allow us to be embarrassed today."
Gave
the other
everyone
players
else
were like,
energy.
they're the same. The other players were like, okay, because something just sparked. So Crystal Palace at first were making us look like a championship team, and then when that spark happened, Crystal Palace looked so bad at the point where the announcer was stopped hyping them and started saying this might become bad for Crystal Palace. This looks like a beat down. So it looks like it's. Do you know what makes me laugh? It looks like this City side has that inside them. It's just
They've got it. We needed to see it.
Stepping up. Yeah. So the guys have to step up.
This is the thing. It's we've got it. We've still got it. Not much has changed. It's just we need. You always look to your experience. There's a reason why you have the 5 leaders, right? There's a reason why you have the experienced players because you look to them. And I feel like that's what's happened. That with Rodri dropping off and then a few other players getting injured, all of a sudden there was no one to look to. And the younger players have got no one to look to. Yeah. And you saw it when De Bruyne scored that goal. You saw how much it meant to him, trying to fire everyone up. You saw Pep firing up the crowd. And it was just like, it's frustrating. Do you know, when I talk about it, it's frustrating. Why have we not seen this earlier in the season, right? It is frustrating. But it does kind of show you how important your leaders are.
But we say this, Daps, it is, and I keep seeing comments around we need to play more youth, we need to buy 20-year-olds and all this and all that. Experience is key, and that's what's won us Champions Leagues and leagues previously. We may need to have a better balance, although the team isn't as old as what people say it is. There is a lot of actually top young players in our squad, but you've got to have a better mix. And these players like the De Bruynes and the Gundogan's and all those guys are the ones that you rely on to dig yourself out because the youngsters don't have that experience. And De Bruyne led by example, and he's one of the best players, in my opinion, the best we've ever had. But I do probably.
I saw that actually, Tone. I did see you made a post saying that, and I was going to say, "Oh, not David Silva, not David Silva." But you know what? It's a conversation that it's a conversation that I've always been. David Silva's the greatest player I've seen in a Man City shirt, right?
Yeah, I get it. I think
but over recent years, I've seen people saying De Bruyne, and I've kind of been like, it's a conversation I don't want to have, right? Because it's that awkward, because I don't know which one it is. Like, and the more you look at De Bruyne's numbers compared to other people in the Premier League, and
crazy.
Do you know what, bro? When I'm seeing all the reels that people are doing about him at the moment and everything, it's it's a hard one. And do you know what made me happy was when we played Man United at the end of the game, through most of the game, I didn't see Kev smile once, right? He looked frustrated at the end of the game. Bro, I like seeing Kevin De Bruyne, Marmoush, Nico O'Reilly, two players that are not the old guard, two young players, and seeing Kev looking back to his happy self with that's how I want to remember Kev, right? This is what I want to see. And I just think, it's almost got me, and Patrick, you're going to kill me for this. It's almost got me thinking, has he got another year in him?
But
Patrick?
Oh yeah, like to be honest with you,
has he?
I don't know. Do you know what has made me laugh though? The thing is, how was Gundogan's? I know Gundogan is an activation, but how have they said, okay, yes, Gundo, you can stay, and he's turning 35 years old, and then KDB, who tells you that now I don't feel any tightness on my leg and I feel free. Obviously, I was saying maybe KDB has to leave. You know, I'm on a 50-50 because
you are as well. You're with me.
Yeah, because you know what I keep thinking? I was like, maybe should KDB leave for this club to move on, to say we don't always depend on him on creativity? The same way I used to say maybe Walker should step down for this club to realize that they need a younger fallback or somebody else alternative, because Walker is getting older. It's a very look. It's a situation that whichever way you go, there's a risk, because there's a risk if he leaves. When he leaves? What if we bring somebody else who's not going to live up to what KDB was? Obviously, it's very hard. But what if he stays and then another bad injury happens? But what if he stays and then he performs one of his best thing until he's 34 years old? I don't know. There's no answer to the whole KDB thing. But to be honest with you, I was shocked to hear that he said it. Says, I have said now that I don't feel the tightness in my leg anymore. I feel free on my leg. So you're basically saying, oh no, so now KDB can play more free. So when you're watching that match, the Crystal Palace one, as you say, he was kicking the ball again because recently he hasn't. He's been trying to kick it in a certain way. He used to do it in a certain way. Even last year, he was kicking in a certain way. He used to just be precise. He used to just put it at a certain point because he doesn't want to stretch the whole leg. But yes, this match, he was stretching. He was running and stretching, tackling. So I don't know. It's very hard to determine because it's a risk either way.
And do you know what? I think the key for me is that there's so many things at the moment going on, and it's sentiment, right? So firstly, we brought Gundo back, right? We brought Gundo back thinking, you know what? He's only going to be a bit part player. He's got another year in him.
Yeah.
And maybe as a bit part player, he would have had another year in him, right? Maybe. And actually, at this point, when I've seen Gundogan recently, I think maybe as a bit part player, Gundogan probably did have another year in him. Now, does Kevin have another year in him? Maybe. Does Kev have another year in him if next season we get a couple of injuries, right? And Kev all of a sudden is having to play every single game? That's one thing we have to consider. Now, the second thing we have to consider is this is a bit like the people that are saying they want McAtee to stay. If football was FIFA, right? Yeah, do you know what? Keep McAtee, keep Kev. But the truth is, Kevin De Bruyne is on 375,000 a week, right? Now, we all know we have to move forward. We have to replace some players, right?
Yeah.
We want Wirtz, yeah? Wirtz is 21 years old and probably the best up and coming 10 in world football.
Yeah.
To get him, we can't afford it, right? And by the way, I don't know about you lot, but 115 hopefully is nearly over, yeah? When 115 is over, please let that be the end of any fucking Manchester City court cases. Because if we don't handle these books correctly, then we're just going to have another one, right? We can't have Kevin De Bruyne on 400k a week and go and get Wirtz on probably he's going to need at least 300, 350.
Minimum.
Yeah. Right. So I get that we want to keep all these players and have a massive squad. But with the rebuild we're planning to do this summer, keeping Kev, I don't feel is possible. And it takes me back to Aguero. Like, we wanted to keep Aguero, but we let him go at the right time. So
I think... Sorry, Dap. Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, I think Kev's the best ever. I've said that, but I think it's the right time. And admittedly, terrific performance against Crystal Palace wouldn't change my mind. You know, he's not the player he was. I think we can see that. I get he's pain-free. And look, if he moves and is brilliant, credit to him. But I agree with Ed in the chat who said that he's glad Man City have come out with their stance, which is right.
Yeah.
Get out there and say, look, right or wrong, this is our decision. And City, and many have said this, City are now in a position where they need to have a refresh, a rebuild. They need to clear some out, 5, 6, 7 players, and they need to get 5, 6, 7 in the door, or 4, 5, or 6 in, and freshen it up a little bit. And Kev is a part of that. And I just think if they extended him a year, just my view, but I think if they extended him a year, I just don't think that helps Man City. For, like you've said, the wages,
No.
it could stop us getting somebody else. Because if it stops you getting Wirtz, and some people go, oh, well, you know, and he could work with De Bruyne. Well, you know, Kev's in the latter part of his career. He's going to want to play, and there's no way on earth Wirtz is going to sit on the bench.
No,
So,
no.
yeah.
No.
So, in my view, it's the right decision to make.
Yeah.
That City have made the right decision, and it was their decision and Pep's decision to say, no, we'll draw a line and we'll go. And it's also a good sign, I think, from Viana if he's been involved in that decision, because it proves he can make the difficult decisions to say, look, and we said this on your show a few weeks ago, this is where I think Viana's going to be key and is crucial to this rebuild, and somebody new, because he'll come in and he has no ties to these players, like maybe Chicky does. This guy can come in and just go, I respect you, what you've done here is unbelievable, but we're moving on. And that's what he's done with Kev, and I appreciate that.
Do you know what? I think Khaldoon will as well, because I think Khaldoon will have realised, because I always remember Khaldoon going on about making decisions at the right time, and about, you know, when you win a league, that's the time when you have to be ruthless and go and strengthen the squad properly. I think this season there'll be a lot of things that's made Khaldoon think, do you know what, even I got too sentimental with these players. We have been. And look, I've just said it, by the way. I can be critical of the board, but I have to be critical of myself, because I got sentimental when we re-signed Gundogan and thought I remember saying we're winning the league now. I thought we were going to win it anyway. Now we've got him 100%. And it just reminds me now, and again, we're doing it. We go on about the old guard and the old guard and the old guard, right?
Yeah.
And then we go and win a game 5-2, and we're going, do you know what? We should be keeping Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
If we keep Kevin De Bruyne, there'll be games next season where all of a sudden, whether it be Wirtz, and this is to anyone, if you're a big Wirtz fan and a fan that wants Wirtz, if you're a big Foden fan and really want Foden to play, if you are a big Marmoush fan and want Marmoush to play, if you are a big Echeverri fan and want Echeverri to play, there will be games next season where these players don't see game time because Pep puts sentiment ahead of it and De Bruyne has played again, right? I think ultimately, however beautiful it is, it's time for him to go. Otherwise, we risk seeing games where, and I'll still stand by what I said. I think there's games this season that De Bruyne has started, that if Grealish started in that role over De Bruyne, we might have won. Yeah. Still believe it.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is true. But you know, when you think about, you know, the thing about football, it also depends on the manager. Because I'm telling you, there can be another world where KDB stays at City, and obviously KDB, unless maybe, because what I'm thinking is, I was like, maybe during the negotiations, right? Because he hasn't why at first I was angry. There's a lot of things, you know, like I've been going through my mind when decisions are made. Even the Gundogan thing, I stepped out of it because I was like, you know what? Because I have a video I'm going to do today at 7 on a show today. I thought about something else, Daps and Tone. I was like, I'm getting angry at Gundo, but Gundo retired from international duty. You know, Gundo has retired from international duty. So when you're negotiating with Gundo, you're negotiating with the guy who want push to play because he doesn't want to play the World Cup. While Kevin De Bruyne feels that he can play, and he's capable of playing because he feels his own body. Because Pep said KDB is the only one who can decide how long he can go, and by him saying he can go on, trust me, KDB can go on, and I wish him the best. And I was thinking, it's like KDB is still fighting to play the World Cup. You know, there's a difference. Why Gundo retired? If KDB retired from Belgium, I think if you tell KDB, oh, you're not going to play these games, I might play you in the important UCL matches because I want you to unlock low blocks. So in the league, you can say yes. But I think during that negotiation, maybe KDB was like, I still want to play in the World Cup.
Yeah.
And Pep was like, I don't think I can give you those minutes. Because he still said it. He said it in the interview the one he did recently. He's like, I still want to play in the World Cup. So
yeah, I think all of these things all of these things are valid, and it's very easy. Do you know what? This comment's really good about inconsistently. Some City fans are not consistent. KDB wasn't good enough in the derby.
Yeah,
People
he's
said he was
right.
done. All of a sudden, he has one good game, and now they're questioning the board. I think that is so
Yeah.
right. Do you know what? And a great example I have of that, and it's not just City fans, by the way, is I saw I saw Real Madrid fans after the first leg against Arsenal, calling for his head and saying, not good enough, not good enough. And I said, come on, don't talk about one of your all-time great managers like that, right? Because they were saying, get him the fuck out of my club. And then they said, yeah, but he's tactically a dinosaur. And I said, no problem. I said, but Ancelotti has been tactically a dinosaur for not 1 year, not 2 years, 3, 4 years, right? But he's got aura. And when his aura gets you over the line, you're there twerking for his aura, going, oh, look at him dancing with his cigar in his mouth, right? But now you want to talk tactics. Well, do you know what? Ancelotti has won, I would say he's won Real Madrid at very least. How many Champions Leagues has he won with them?
Oh, I've no idea. At least a few. Sure.
Right. Well, I can think of at very least 2 Champions Leagues that Ancelotti has won Real Madrid just not through tactics, through
by just
aura.
standing there.
just by his aura and his belief. So you can't celebrate one thing, then knock it. So I think that comment was really, really, really good.
Yeah, but wait. You know another thing, I was also arguing with somebody on this whole thing that there's no tactics. Let's remember this. Let's not forget this tone and dabs. Let's not forget that they won those Champions League with Zidane, and Zidane did fuck all. Sorry for my language. He did. I don't think he did any tactics. Remember, people said, "Oh, Zidane just had good man management. He says he taught the players to express themselves." That has always been the Madrid way, isn't it? Madrid has always been express yourself. I think the only manager where I saw a bit of change was Mourinho, where he used to try and make them pack the bus sometimes and counter. Yeah. But with Zidane, let's not forget Zidane was also aura. Remember, Zidane.
Oh, bro, a minute, bro. Don't get me started on Zidane. Bro, honestly, but that is the thing. So we're going to move on because there's a few things I want to talk on. So ultimately, just a few other things in the Palace game. Yeah, Nico O'Reilly, great finish for his goal again.
Yeah.
Kovacic, to be fair, great finish.
Yeah, that was great goal.
It was
goal.
really, really good.
Wow.
Nico Gonzalez, he just seems to move the ball that little bit quicker, seems to win second balls a bit more, recycle the ball a bit quicker. Right, I want to talk with you guys on Florian Wirtz because it seems to be picking up some pace. We've seen, I think yesterday it came out, yesterday or today, that that we are willing to pay the 150 million that they would want. But then also the other thing is that, you know, they seem quite keen on McAtee, that McAtee is quite keen on a move over there, and Ortega as well. Let me ask you first, Patrick, which would you rather? We pay 150 million, or let's say we pay somewhere between 120 and 150 euros, or we pay a bit less, but we swaps Ortega and McAtee.
I don't know. Do you know why I'm confused, Daps and Ton? And this is what I'm always confused. Why are teams always willing, when we're going to buy their already made stars, why are they willing to take our academy players? Like, why are they willing to, like, McAtee, Leverkusen are so desperate for him. I went to the Leverkusen page. They're all so eager to bring McAtee, and the sports director there is speaking highly of him. Yeah. And I sat there, I was like, what are we not seeing at City that Leverkusen is seeing?
I think we. Do you know what? I do think there is an element that the Bundesliga. Sorry, I'm not one of these people that does Farmers League, Bundesliga tax. I'm not one of those. And for the main reason why I'm not is because I don't watch enough of it. Right? Ultimately, I watch German teams when they're playing English teams in the Champions League, and I'm not going to act like I watch them. But when you look at the age of players that leave teams in England and go over there and seem to do well over there, I would be pretty confident to say, do you know what? That league can't be as good as over here, right? Or alternatively, maybe that league is less physical. I don't know. But young English players that have come, or young players that have come through English academies, seem to go over there and thrive, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a lot. I've always said this. Cole Palmer wanted to go to the Bundesliga. He didn't want to go to Chelsea. Cole Palmer, a good 4 or 5 months before he signed for Chelsea, had made the decision that he wanted to leave City, and ideally he wanted to go to Dortmund, right?
On loan, isn't it? On loan.
Yeah, no, he wanted to go, bro. But all of this that's come out since, I heard months before that off of close friends of him that he wanted to leave City. Yeah.
So why does he keep hyping the loan? He said he wanted to go on loan.
I don't. The only maybe to kind of not fall out with, not ruin his legacy. The other thing it could be, to be fair, is maybe he wanted to go there on loan until Pep left, because his whole thing was he didn't get on with Pep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. So let me answer that question. It's just like, that for me to not answer that question, that's what I'm saying. What do they see? Because this is not the first time, Ton. I think, Ton, we've discussed this. It's not the first time ever.
Yeah.
It's not only Leverkusen. It's a lot of teams. And the teams are not like shit teams. Like where you're like, this is a shit team. There's big teams that are just looking at McAtee, and I get it. His under 21 performances are incredible. But to be honest with you, if they're willing to take Ortega and McAtee and then they do a deal on Wirtz, I would take that deal, even if they want to, because I was like, are we willing to pay 150? Don't we have to sell? Where are we going to scuff 150 from? Or is it because we have sold enough? Where are we getting 150 from straight away?
This is the thing. And you've got to remember that we kind of worked on this. I don't know if either of you two know the way PSR works, right? But I'm pretty certain that if you sell a player and it's straight profit, then it's not, say you sell a player for 40 million, that I don't think that it's just that, that's 40 million over on the books. I think it's worth more than that, right? I don't, that's the way someone explained to me. So McAtee is straight profit, right? Ortega will be straight profit. Both of them will be straight profit. Now, I have no doubt that on the books, they could agree something. And maybe this is why the some of the officials from Leverkusen were over here last week or the week before. We could agree something where we say, okay, we will give you, I don't know, X amount of money, and we want you to say that this player is worth this much and this player is worth this much, and maybe almost overvalue them a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It looks a damn sight better, because you could say, McAtee's worth 40, Ortega's worth, I don't know, 20, something like that.
Yeah, you're not getting. McAtee's only got a year left, as is Ortega in the summer. So I think you'll get maybe 25 for McAtee. I'll be honest.
Wasn't that the offer we refused, isn't it? That's what we refused.
That's what we refused, yeah.
Yes, but
that was January. Yeah, that was January. We refused in January. Quite.
But there was talk that there may be a renewal on the horizon, and then he gets a loan move as well. But that seems to have petered out a bit. So I think he'll go in the summer. I personally don't. I'm not going to change my mind on McAtee. I don't think, from what I've seen of him at City and Sheffield United, and that's all I can judge it on. Is I don't think he's good enough for Man City and where City want to go. So he's a good player, no doubt. I'm sure he'll do well at Leverkusen. If he's thrown in as part of any deal for Wirtz, I don't care what they pay, to be honest, City. Wirtz, in my opinion, with Musiala, is the best player in world football, or the best upcoming player in world football.
Yeah.
Get him in the door.
I think this is the thing that, I don't know, it does seem, this goes back to what Torres said earlier, that it seems like a lot of City fans want to rebuild, right?
Yeah.
But they also... and they want a load of, they want all the best players in the world, but then they also want the young players to be given a chance. And it's like, again, we can't do both. Like, and for me, McAtee, let's, if we're being really honest, I'm a big fan of McAtee, right? I am a really big fan of McAtee. However, he's not 18, right? He's 22 or 23, right? He came up with Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer, he's had 2 seasons on loan out at a Premier League club. He didn't light it up with them. He was okay. He bulked up. I think it did the job.
Are we talking about McAtee at Sheffield United? Sorry.
Sheffield United, yeah. Sheffield United, yeah.
Yeah, I know a couple of Sheffield United season ticket holders, and I spoke with one in particular, and he said whilst he was good, he thinks a bit overhyped the stuff he did at Sheffield United, because everyone goes, oh, he's by far their best player. And he was saying he wasn't. And he said, I'm not saying it because we haven't got him now. He genuinely, he was good, but he wasn't like blowing us away.
And this is the thing, we can't. I mean, as someone said, the greatest example I saw, is what someone say, why have we not learned from Lavia, right? And I'm thinking, Lavia, right now, I'm very happy with what we learned from Lavia, because I think we probably did we make 20 million out of that deal?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, right. We made 20 million. And listen, Lavia's last season playing for City's academy was very, very hit with injury, because he was supposed to be breaking into the first team with Cole Palmer. He didn't get he didn't really get any game time because he was injured, right? He looked good at Southampton, and don't get me wrong, he's looked okay when he's looked good when he's played for Chelsea. But if we're being real, he's probably played a maximum of 40 games in the last 3 seasons, So for me, I think City didn't miss a trick on that one. I think City knew that there was some concerns with him.
Yeah, somebody told me. Somebody. I won't mention him, but somebody told me because I was hyping the Lavia situation, and I was very pissed with it. So somebody just told me privately. He's like, "Do you want to hear something fascinating? They knew about injuries ever since they bought him, but they thought they would bring him here and improve his issues." He said that the issue was trying to maintain him at high levels, and because don't forget, this kid could play centre back. he was dropping centre back in Belgium, and when company suggested him, it was like, this kid can play centre back and can still carry the ball from centre back. Let's not lie, they were trying to take a risk. He told me that City were trying to take a risk on somebody who had a big ability, but say we'll see if we can manage his injuries. But I think the refuse of surgery, which I don't blame him, because I was like, why doesn't he just take the surgery? Then somebody said, do you know it's very scary for a young player? Sometimes this can be the end of the surgery, can be the end of the football. So they knew. So City knew. That's why they said, we're not going to buy him back. Remember for Southampton? Everybody wanted to hype him. That's when I was told that. He said, we're not buying him back because somebody said the City knows something behind. They know what's happening with the kid, that he's going to be... Guess what? The guy came back to me and said, remember what I told you? He hasn't.
No, it's to the point where 1 minute, I hear Chelsea fans saying, he's back in the match day squad. He's fit. And then all of a sudden, I haven't even heard, he hasn't played a game, and they're going, he's injured again, right? Yeah. There's 100%. So this whole, and again, Sancho, for me, he looked great at Dortmund. At United, he looked pony. At Chelsea, I think he has been massively overhyped at Chelsea. I don't think he's been that good at Chelsea. I really don't think we get it as bad as we get it wrong as much as people think with some of the young players. I really don't. Like, they'll go Palmer, but
but Palmer's...
the same people that will say Cole Palmer, we made a mistake letting Cole Palmer go. And again, by the way, I wanted to keep Cole Palmer. I am a Cole Palmer fan. But they'll be the same people that are throwing pelters at Foden, right? Now, if we're being honest, Cole Palmer's had one good season. Foden's had far more than one good season. So we can't always use these things as a... And I just think at the moment with McAtee, however much I'd like to keep him, are we really willing to... Because I've seen people say, all right, well, why don't we give him Bernardo? Or why don't we sell Bernardo? Well, that's because Leverkusen want McAtee, right? They don't want Bernardo. They want McAtee, yeah? And why? Because if they're going to get rid of Wirtz, they want a replacement. And again, we have to remember, we have to keep them happy, because his dad and probably him would favour a move to Bayern. Yeah, maybe not him, but I've heard his dad very much favours the move to Bayern, right? Yeah. So, if we don't give Leverkusen incentives to sell to us over Bayern, they'll just sell to Bayern. So, if they're saying, look, we'll do business with you on Wirtz, but we need you to give us McAtee and we need you to give us keeper,
Yeah.
We kind of have to just go, well, do you know what? We kind of wanted to keep McAtee. And do you know what? It's probably a conversation. Which one do you want? Do you want McAtee or do you want Wirtz? Which one do you want? And I hate to say it, Pep's probably going to say Wirtz.
Yeah. Can I just, I think it's right. But can I just reverse back a little bit on the Palmer thing? I stand by we did not make a mistake selling him, because as far as I recall, we won the title last season without him. And we won many more things without him being really part of the team season before. And it's not a criticism of Palmer, but Chelsea are now into a big period of their season where they need to get Champions League football for money.
Yeah.
And Palmer's got, I think it's something like 1 goal, 2 assists in 17 games. Now that's not just on him, but when he scores, all blows up. Every time he scores a goal, all we hear is, "Oh, we've made a mistake. Oh, we've made a mistake." But they've been very quiet for about 3 or 4 months because he's done sod all. And all this stuff about Palmer and Foden. Foden won Player of the Year and we won the title.
Yeah,
it's not even a comparison at this point. So yeah. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
And
can I say one thing? Can I say one thing on Palmer?
Go on.
I realized one thing, Tone. Like I think people hype him when he scores, right?
Yeah.
But I genuinely think look, regardless whatever happens, we'll obviously not get him back. Even though he seems to be twerking for us this recent in interviews, he seems to be saying I'd rather go back to City. But what has impressed me about Palmer, even now, Tone, where he's not doing the goals. What impressed me, and also where I said, oh my God, this guy was actually a talent. They were not lying at City. Is Tone, when the teams park the bus, the kid finds space. And I know that it's like Chelsea stink, because I saw him, I was like, this kid, and you know what also makes him unbelievable? It's the fact that he's got this body shape that I was like, I think I could have never predicted at City that this is a guy who you can't get the ball off him. I'm telling you, Daps, I've been watching Chelsea recently because obviously the guys who are competing with us for top 4, and I was watching Palmer without the goals. I was like, this guy is too good. He was doing those De Bruyne moves where he gives you the ball and he points and goes in behind while they've packed the bus, tries to get in. Obviously, Jackson fluffs it. Then I was like, this guy, if maybe he didn't have the issues with Pep or thing, I think there was going to be a point in time where Pep Guardiola, I think, was going to say, you know what, Palmer, you're the number 10. I think it was eventually going to come. But obviously, patience is patience. You're right. Yeah. If he wasn't patient enough, we just have to let it go. But I think on skill, even though I used to think that, obviously in the academy, Marketing used to look better than Palmer, I think Palmer actually is a better player than Marketing. So that just says a lot about Marketing. That is Marketing that level then. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So I agree with you. I'm a big fan of Cole Palmer, but I'm also a fan of, and this is probably similar with McAtee, that if a player really wants to go, you got to let him go. This is an interesting one. So apparently Wirtz prefers Man City over Madrid and over Bayern. His dad is talking to all the big clubs because he's his manager. Leverkusen do not want to sell to Bayern. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Right.
I was just going to say, I said to Martin, I think I said to Martin, I'm sure he'll confirm on the chat, that I think he does favour a move to City, just something I was told. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. But if he wants Bayern, and people, I've had this before with people, and I'm saying if his first choice is Bayern, but Leverkusen say we're not dealing with Bayern, they will work it out, because I think they'll respect Wirtz enough. If Wirtz goes to Leverkusen and says, I want Bayern, I really, really want to go there. Can you work a deal out? It'll get worked out. But let's hope he wants City anyway.
Yeah, I think, and yeah, I agree with what you're saying here. If we get Wirtz, we go from the worst midfield in the top 6 to the best. Rodri, Nico, Wirtz. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that in fact, I'm going to bring that comment up because that moves me on perfectly to what I want to talk on. But just quickly, 215 in here, 135 likes. 137. I said 150 likes, and I'll put these on, and no more squinting, right? But I'm not putting these on until these likes get higher. And to be honest, I kind of wanted to say 200 likes. Like, there's 218 of you in here. This will officially be the first time you see Daps with glasses on, right? It's worth a like, people. You don't. I'm not doing this on Never Found. I'm doing it on the South Stand, right? And by the way,
please, guys, let me just say this. Please, just like, because we're tired of this. We are tired of
Yeah.
this. Are you not
We want
tired,
that
Don?
to see.
My eyes
Yeah,
are tired of this. Everyone tells me my eyes are tired of this. My eyes are tired of this. You're tired of telling me that I'm squinting, right? And do you know what? I'll be honest. I would have carried on squinting. I went and got these because of all of you lot, yeah? And now you don't want to hit the like button. So get the likes higher. But, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Spot on, Dash.
But I just want to say real quick on, where was it? It was from Bree. Where's it gone? Where has it gone? Oh, we've got a load of comments all of a sudden.
If you had your glasses, you'd have that up now.
Exactly.
Get the likes
Right.
up.
There we go. So, one of the topics I put was, what does the Wirtz transfer mean to Foden? Right? Now, next season, let's say we're playing 4 at the back. We all seem keen on getting fullbacks. So let's say we get fullbacks. Are we saying we're going to play Nico and Rodri?
Ooh. Maybe. Pep has
Nico is
hinted
box
at
to
it.
box, isn't it, Ton? Nico is also a box to box, and he
He
can
is,
also play
mate,
back in
yeah.
midfield. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible, but I think there'll be maybe another name or two coming in that midfield. So, but yeah, you could say that. Yeah, they could do both. Pep could.
So if we're playing those two, then so that's so we're looking at 6 in total. So we're playing 2 there. We're going to be playing Haaland up top. I think we're presuming that Marmoush is going to start next season.
Yes, I do. I do just want to say from a comment, Martin stirring up the chat again, but I do think we will sign Morgan Gibbs-White, and I know Martin said go way, but I really do think we will for that midfield as well.
All right. So, are we saying Morgan Gibbs-White would be a starter?
No.
I'm not saying me, by the way. And by the way, don't get me wrong. I do understand how a squad works. I'm just trying to talk.
Okay, would you? Okay, I don't know. Okay, this is the thing, and I'm gonna be honest with people, right? I just feel like if, let's say, Rodri came back to this team, let's say Rodri walks back into this team, and I just feel like even if you don't get Wirtz, and I know people will be disappointed if they hear this, I think even if you don't get Wirtz and Rodri walks back into this team, and the fact that Nico Gonzalez can play box-to-box attacking midfielder and he can also play a holding sometimes, if you had Rodri and Nico until Foden, you're free, Foden will still do for us. Because I think what people are, why people are so disappointed is because Foden this season hasn't been what they were expecting from last season. But I think people keep forgetting, because I'm sitting there and asking people, are you telling me that if we were on a top-to-top head-to-head, and what amazed me, there was a Bundesliga fan who actually put Foden as number 3, as one of the best wingers in the world. And I was like, he's not a winger though. He's like, yeah, but when he cooks for me as number 3. And then he's like, I'm also disappointed. He told me, he's like, I'm also disappointed for some City fans and some people, how they have thrown him away at a point where names like Morgan Gibbs-White, I get it, but would you actually, let's say, on the best Foden form as a number 10, would you still take Morgan Gibbs-White over Foden? Because we're basically talking about bringing Gibbs-White.
Hold on. Yeah. So I think you're spot on it. So firstly, for me, Morgan Gibbs-White, I'm not putting him in a 10 role, right? Morgan Gibbs-White might be an engine. I might consider Morgan Gibbs-White as maybe a box-to-box.
Yes.
Right?
So you're giving him the Gundogan role.
Yes. Right. I don't think Morgan Gibbs-White is good enough. But I'm gonna be. Do you know what? I feel like I'm always being the boring person. Like with the whole De Bruyne thing. The reason why De Bruyne must go is financial. Yeah. That if we want to bring Wirtz in, we need to release the De Bruyne wage, right? If we want to buy Wirtz, right, we all know we need to buy at least 1 fullback, potentially 2, right?
Yeah.
We all know Edison we're not going to get much money for. We need to bring in a world-class goalkeeper, right? Where's all this money coming from? Morgan Gibbs-White, I would take for the engine, not for the 10 role. I would take as an engine, yeah?
Agreed.
But at the amount of money that Forest... And again, it is probably all very relevant to whether they get Champions League football or they don't get Champions League football, but they ain't going to be letting him go for cheap.
No, not to be 60, well, 70, 80 probably.
70, 80. I've seen Seen 100 thrown around, and it's
Yeah.
mental. Well, we ain't got the money like that. We do not have the what is it? Pep said we do not have the facilities.
And you know what's funny, Dubs? You know what's funny? And this is another thing where, do you know that Nico O'Reilly is an attacking midfielder / box to box? You know he's an attacking midfielder. I don't know, Tony. I watched him at the academy. He's actually an attacking midfielder.
Yeah,
So in my
he's
head, I was also asking.
He's an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, so I was asking myself, I was like, okay, you're looking for an engine, and I was watching Nico O'Reilly. This guy reminds me of Yaya. He reminds me of a young Yaya. And I was like, the risk of saying you're bringing Wirtz and you've got Foden and you've got Echeverry, I get it, who Morgan Gibbs White is. Why didn't you just play Nico O'Reilly and Nico Gonzalez as the box-to-box? Do we really have to go smash 80 on Gibbs? I
don't think, for me, that money on Gibbs White. Look, and I'm here, and Ed, you're saying we have money. Bro, like I said earlier, once 115 is done and dusted, yeah, I don't want any more cases coming up. I want us to actually, we've got to a point now where we are self-sufficient, yeah? But we can't be spending, if you really do the maths on the amount of players we need, and when Wirtz is one of them that's going to cost about 120, yeah? Come on, man. Morgan Gibbs White, if we spend...
But Dubs, I think he's coming. Dubs, I think he's coming. I think Tony's right. This is the feeling that.
All right,
and you know
he's coming.
And you know what's more painful, Dubs? Sorry,
but again, Ed, you're saying we haven't spent in 2 years. We spent about 170 million in January. Yeah, exactly. So I understand there's being in a good place and being able to spend, and there's being able to literally, Chelsea have just gone and sold their women's team. I don't really want us to be doing that, right? But we have got money. I hear you, yeah, but do the maths, right? And this is to anyone. I welcome people to put after this show in the comments, do the maths for me, right? Of all the players that you think need to go, the money you think we'll get for them, right? Because remember, most of the players we think need to go are old, yeah? We're not getting much money for them, right? Then look at all the people we would need to fill in, yeah? I'm not saying we can't do it, but I'm saying spending close to 100 million on Morgan Gibbs White, yeah? Nah. So what would you spend on Morgan Gibbs White?
Yeah, Ton. You know what I was about to say, Ton? I was like, Ton, okay, you know, Dubs, I like sometimes to see suffering. You know yourself, Dubs. I just like to stare at the pot. I would be so happy. Obviously, I wouldn't be happy generally, but I'll just be so happy to watch this one based on as the marquee sign is not Wirtz, it's Morgan Gibbs White, and he's given a number 10.
It will be meltdown, but this may be controversial and I'll get hammered, but Morgan Gibbs White right now today starts in that Man City midfield. I would start him over Bernardo, Kovacic, and Gundo. In an 8 role.
In an 8 role.
8 role, not 10.
Right, okay. I wouldn't disagree with you. I saw someone mention Tonali. Yeah, I'd take Tonali all day long. But would Newcastle sell Tonali? I think Tonali's mint. But let me ask you both: how much would you pay? So, how much would you pay for? Much would you be willing to pay for Morgan Gibbs White?
Yeah, paying 80, whether you like it or not. 80, you're paying 80.
But
how much would you? Right, if we're saying we would play him, how much do you think he's worth? Like, how much before you say nah, pull out of that?
It's a difficult one though, Daps, because United spent 90 on Anthony and 85 on bloody Højlund and all this. So it's, when you say that, you think, well, 150 mil because they're so bad. But realistically, he'll probably cost somewhere around. I know they'll say we want 100 mil, but we know that's just putting the chest out and all that. It'll probably be around 70 mil, which is crazy money. But City have liked Morgan Gibbs White for more than a season. They've been watching him for 2 or 3 years. If somebody said to me now, name me a signing you think City will make in the summer, and I'm not saying this is my number one, but it will be him. And maybe they'll come out and they won't buy him. But I've just heard them very, very keen on him. And
really?
And the engine in midfield as well. What are we missing at the moment? Some work in midfield. Everyone says it's slow. Morgan Gibbs White brings that energy. If he was Spanish, I stand by it. If he was Spanish or Portuguese, those people absolutely hammering him would be bloody loving him.
But
What
right,
do you think?
I'm not against
Magadinho.
Yeah, that's it.
Morgadinho. Where do
Spot
you-
on, Patrick.
So, all right, if we're talking about potentially getting him,
Yeah.
would you? Are both of you thinking in the 10 role, or both of you thinking more of an 8 role?
I think it depends on the game you're playing, isn't it? Depends. But to be honest with you, let's not also forget this. Tony is right. Apart from City, let's not forget that Gibbs White is a wonder kid. Remember? He was a wonder kid. And remember, the Spurs wanted him, and he only ended up at Forest because I think Spurs were being a bit greedy on paying. But let's not forget that this guy's name was out there at the point in time, and you can check. But I think I'll be playing him as the 8. I think so. Because he's got the capability, isn't it? So that means you've got somebody who's an 8 and he can create. And he's good on counters, very physical. And he has the body for 8. He doesn't have the body for a 10.
No, I agree with
he
you.
doesn't
I
look like
agree
a
with you,
10.
bro. I agree with
Yeah.
you. And I'm really not against Morgan Gibbs White and Wirtz, right? I am against
that'd be
Morgan
brilliant, both of them.
I am against Morgan Gibbs White in the 10. I'll be honest with you. I am.
I don't think he'd be the 10. I think you'd have Foden, Wirtz, and you were asking that question on the channel and stuff. And to me, Wirtz, Foden can work together because they're both top players, and both of them that I've seen can do left, right, centre for Pep in Pep's system.
Well, this is actually I've seen you comment this a lot, right? What does Wirtz to Bayern mean to Musiala, right? Well, Wirtz and Musiala play in the German national team together. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what I don't know if you're hinting that maybe if Wirtz wants to go Bayern, then Bayern would then sell Musiala, because I don't think they would. If you look at some of the best Bayern teams of all time, is when they've had a lot of the international team playing together, and vice versa. Some of the best German teams have actually had a team where a lot of them are at Bayern. They both play for Germany, so I don't think if Wirtz goes to Bayern, I think that's because Bayern are probably trying to, do a throwback to the best Germany teams of all time, where they have all of them playing for both club and country. I actually do think, though, that's why, if you think for Germany, Musiala and Wirtz kind of works. So that's where I'd say Wirtz and Foden would work.
It'll work, I think.
Sorry, Patrick. These are top players. Foden, world class. I know he's not had a world class season, and Wirtz. Yeah, there's no issue there. You're just in a luxurious position of having two of the best players on the planet in similar roles. But Pep will work it. If we want Wirtz, there's a reason Pep wants Wirtz. And as I say, those two players can play. Foden can play a little bit more, maybe not the 6, but as an 8-10 and out wide. And Wirtz can certainly do right the way across the pitch in that sort of 10 and left and right.
Okay, so I will. How long are you guys gonna stay here for?
Probably another 10 minutes. There's one thing I want to speak on. We're over 150 likes. People, there's well over 200 in here, still only on 154. So please keep getting those likes up. However, go on then.
Oh, hey.
Oh, there you go. There we go. Finally.
Oh,
you can see.
Tony, you're white. Patrick.
Yeah, yes, I'm black and African.
You're in a car. You're in a car. Yeah,
looking
I can
good,
actually.
There
we go. Glasses. Oh my God, I can read. Right. Next thing I wanted to say on real quick is, and I put this on I think I put one on the thumbnail and I put one on the title. The title was about how it impacts Foden. I also then put, do we need more wingers, right? And the other thing is, if we get Wirtz, and Patrick, you were just talking about how Bayern fans really like Foden on the wing, right? If we bring in Wirtz, and let's say we bring in Wirtz and Morgan Gibbs White, or Wirtz and another 8-10, do you think Pep's going to keep playing with wingers, or do you think Pep's not too keen on wingers ultimately? Or
Now we
do
have
we
to
need
play
another winger?
wingers. We definitely have to play wingers. Like,
Right. Okay.
I-
Hold
I-
on. Hold on. Wingers, because what I'm going to say is wingers for me, Doku, Savio, wingers. Yeah.
and Bob
Bob, winger. Yeah. Or yeah, Bob, winger.
and Mamouche. I think Mamouche is going to be a winger.
Well, right. That's where I'm thinking. That's when I was listing Marmouche, Foden, right? If we're talking about a world where we have Wirtz, we have Morgan Gibbs-White, we have Rodri back, we have Nico, right? What does it mean to Marmouche, Foden, Doku, Savio, Bob, right? Does Pep go with, because you know Pep likes players that can do more than one role. Doku and Savio can't so much do more than one role. They're wingers, right? Marmouche, Foden, does he ultimately favour, and Bob as well? I'd say Bob can maybe do a bit. Bob's a bit of both, but
It's
do
a
you
squad
think
game, Dap? So it's a squad game, mate, and you've got to have that options. I think Patrick hinted at it earlier, and he's spot on. It depends who you're playing, and Savinho, Doku will be required. Both have got to step it up. Both of those two players, even their biggest supporters, will say they have to be better for Manchester City next season. It's a huge season for Doku, but they are still needed, both of them. They're both good players. They can both bring something, but both of them have to step it up.
yeah, and that as well. He's right that this whole thing, and this is where I think it's yeah. I think I do hear what you're saying here about. I'm not trying to say an 11-man squad, but we'll be getting to a point where I think this is where it's so interesting, and this is such good debate, and interesting to see what happens. Because I am one of these people. I do want to see us go and get fullbacks, right? But one thing we know from Pep is Pep certainly not on both sides. Pep doesn't like playing with fullbacks on both sides and wingers on both sides overlapping, right? Because prime example is Leroy Sané and Mendy. He never used to like playing Mendy and Leroy Sané because they occupy the same space. So that being said, will he go and get two fullbacks? Will we see any more wingers? Do either of you two think we need any more wingers?
I think we need fullbacks because you know why I'm saying this. I have just I don't know, Ton. There was a moment where everybody was copying the Pep Guardiola centre back thing. You saw even Barcelona that got Koundé still as a centre back playing fullback. But recently, I've just, because of PSG and some of the teams that I've been watching recently, who've got fullbacks who are just flying. I've just seen that you actually, even the wingers need a fullback. I think the thing is, it's the issue why we understand why maybe a winger who's left-footed is playing right, and a winger. That's why, because that's how you can deal with this whole occupying space, is by having a winger who's right-footed playing that other side. But sometimes you have wingers who are just left-footed. Like, for instance, Sabi and Doku can play both sides. You see, they can play left or right. Why Grealish can only play left, and he's only left side, and he's very focused there. Then maybe that's why he was playing Josko. I just feel like if we get fullbacks, they will support the wingers. And I think our wingers are not only missing fullbacks, making those runs and supporting them, they're also missing midfielders. That's the issue we've had this year. I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah.
I do think.
No, I think you're right.
I think wingers wise, a new name. I mentioned it on the podcast. Sorry, little plug there.
What podcast's that, Toad?
It's the City Till I Die podcast.
Oh, sounds good. I'll have to check that out.
Thank you, mate. With Martin and Fee, who are also really good on it. Where was I? Sule or Sole or Sol, I don't know how you pronounce it, from Roma, who's a winger. Young, I think he's like 22, possibly, somewhere around there. Apparently they like him and have been looking at him. So maybe they are looking at wingers, but they certainly need fullbacks, as Patrick says. Cambiasso looks 1 foot in the door. They're also looking at, and again, I cannot pronounce his name. It's either Disciper or De Kuiper off Bruges. Who's more of a wing back. Apparently they quite like him. So there's another new name that's I've just seen doing the rounds a little bit. But
and then there's the Leipzig centre back that can also play on the left.
I saw that off this channel. Yeah, I saw your Instagram. Lekeba.
Yeah, but again, he costs a lot of money, and to me, I don't want another centre back that can play on the left. I want a fullback.
Get a fullback.
That's where I know a lot of people want Frimpong. For me, I like Frimpong, right? However, I can't see a world where Frimpong works in a Pep system. Unless Pep's thinking of playing him as a winger, right? Because I think if we play Frimpong as a fullback, that worries me. I don't think
he's very attacking, isn't it? But you know one person you know what gives me a headache in this world? It's the fact that City don't. I know they already popped an eye seasons ago, and I think they spoke about it, and then they were given a price that they stayed away from. But Robinson from Fulham just looks like the perfect fullback that just walks into your team. And I think everybody, because right now I think he's the best according to stats and everything, apparently defending. And I know he made a mistake recently. People were going at me, but everybody makes a mistake. He's got 10 assists in this league, and he's defending. It's not a lot of times you get the best of Robinson. You don't get the best of him. And his attacking is good. He's well balanced. He's got a good age of 27. I know people now, Ton, I don't know if you've heard this new City thing. Once you're 25 above, we can't buy you. Once you're 30 above, you're a grandpa, you're an uncle. I don't know where this come from recently. And you know what? I even felt ashamed of myself because I am 36 and I kept on calling Gundo an uncle. I was like, I think I have to come down a bit. But
well, I'm calling. Do you know what? I'm actually calling. Yeah, I'm calling uncles. Yeah, I'm calling people uncles that actually I should be calling nephews.
That's what I said, Dubs. I thought about it. I was like, why am I calling? I was like, Gundogan is younger than me. Why am I calling him aunt? I was like, how dare I call him? I'm pretty sure if he met me, he'll be like, buddy, you're 36, I'm 34. But you know, okay, I'm just saying, this is Cambiaso guy, Ton, you're right. He also looks like a bit fragile, isn't it? It looks like it's a Cancelo 0.20. Yes, he's good on the ball, but defensively, people are going to get very frustrated. So are we going to go towards the fact that, because if you're trying to let the two wingers to express themselves, are we not looking for a very stable fullback then? Fullbacks that are able to defend, run back and defend, instead of having these fullbacks that are flashy like Cambiaso. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from.
Hey, listen, I'm not being funny. There's elements of this that I'm not mad at, right? There's elements this season. Bro, hear me out. There's elements of this season where I was going, we could do with a Joe Linton, right now, right? But my problem is I've seen Livramento be mentioned a few times. I would love Livramento. Absolutely, I do very nasty things with my glasses on for Livramento, right? But Newcastle, they don't want me to do nasty things. Like I think Newcastle, where we are right now, Newcastle look like they're going to get Champions League football, right? Yep. At that point, they ain't going to want to sell Livramento. I don't believe unless there's. I did see something the other day about Tonali being in some new allegations back in Italy.
Yeah, he is back. Yeah, he's back.
I've also seen. I'd also love Bruno. There's multiple Newcastle players, that I would love. But I think if they get Champions League football, the club won't want to sell them. And I also don't think. I don't think the players would want to leave. I think with winning that cup, I think their players would be like, do you know what? I think we've missed. There's a couple of Newcastle players. Unfortunately, we missed the boat on. The boat was last
year.
Summer.
I think last year. Dubs and Tone, can I ask you something before I go? Am I the only one? Like like every time when I look at the Premier League, I study weaknesses. I study for teams that would be desperate to let go of somebody.
Yeah.
I keep thinking that if we went to Chelsea and go and give them a cheeky bit for Gusto, I think they would give you Gusto, and I think he's one of the best.
Yeah, he's not bad.
I just think that Gusto is one of the best. Yeah,
good player. Yeah.
Do you know what? He's not bad. I quite like Gusto.
And I think when Gusto's played 22.
On the right, yeah.
He's
when
just 22 years old, so he's just 22. I didn't know that he was just 22. I thought he was older than 22.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Anyway, Patrick, you need to crack on. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Wait, can I ask you guys before I go? Are you with this? Are you with this group that keeps asking that we need another centre back? I was like, what for?
No, Bo, no.
No, but there's some
that means yes.
There's some talk of Branthwaite, so that'll be one. Might be one to watch.
I don't know, man. I think at the moment, any talk of centre backs to me, that's what worries me. One, if I see centre back that can also play, I think no, stop. Right, please, we've had enough of that. Or else, when I see centre backs, I think that tells me that Pep really this season Pep, because look, we know Rodri's impact on this season not being available. We know all the other injuries we've had and the impact that's had, right? But I think Pep really is probably having nightmares over the constant Ake, Akanji, Stones, and even Diaz a little bit this season, injuries. And I think he's probably thought two of those three players may well go. But I think you're right. Right, we've got Diaz Vardio. For us, we're saying that's a mint partnership. We're then saying one of the three of Stones, Ake, Akanji will stay. That's 3. Kuzanov, centre-back, that's 4. Vitor Hayes, that's 5. And then Jumba Ba, who for me...
He's good, mate.
Bro, he should be... I haven't watched him, but from what everyone's telling me and from the stats I'm seeing... He should be the 5th choice if we want a 5th or a 6th choice. Not right now when we're needing fullbacks, when we're needing midfielders, right? I don't want to go and spend a load of money on another centre back. I can't see that.
Did you before I go? Did you hear what happened? As soon as he came to the team, they kept clean sheets up and conceded. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Since he came on, apparently they haven't conceded. It's just
he's good.
Yeah, I'll talk to you, Tone, and Dabs. I'll see you. I have to drive home.
I appreciate it.
Take care, Patrick. All the best, mate.
Yeah, love Patrick. Catch up soon. People, we're just going to talk the Everton game now. Just quickly before we drop off. If you haven't already, please make sure you smash that like button. And there you go. The layout is updated. Right, Tone. I am nervous of this one. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Everton are one of the on-form teams. Moyes has got them playing bloody dream football at the moment. Maybe not the style so much, but they look good. They look solid. They're scoring, the goals they need. They're climbing the table. They're even looking at a top half.
Yeah.
He's done a great job, Moyes. He gets a lot of shit, but he did a good job at West Ham. I know people look to the United job, but United were going to be shit that season anyway. He's a good manager. Would I want to watch that style of football? Not particularly.
No.
Would I want him at City? No. But he's a top manager and he's got Everton playing. And this is arguably, and in fact, I would probably say this is our toughest game left in the Premier League. If we win this...
I don't disagree.
If we win this and beat Villa on Tuesday, we will get Champions League football because we will get enough from them remaining games to get it. And that's how big these 2 games are. Win both, you're in the Champ League as far as I'm concerned. So Everton, though, is going to be extremely, extremely tough. I've got us to win 1-0, but it could be a draw. 4 points out the next 2 is a good return.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Sorry, 1 second. I was just looking for something. I'll do that afterwards. Where I am with the Everton game, I just look at it and think away at Goodison, it's always been a difficult game, right?
Yeah.
And the Rod, prime example. That game, we didn't look like we were beating him that day. Moyes has come in and got him playing a lot more like the old. A lot more like the old Everton. And the fact is, one of their last games at Goodison, they're playing, like you said, they're playing free football almost. And I agree with you, Tone. I actually think Everton away is more difficult than Villa at home.
Both tough.
I said today, 4 points out of those 2, I'm happy with, right?
Yeah.
4 points against those 2, knowing the teams we've got to play. I'm not mad at that. But I do think if we beat Everton, I certainly think we go on and beat Villa. Because I think we spoke about this before. I think we start to put a little run together. I think, do you know what? I could be wrong, and we'll know Saturday evening, but that's coming back from 2 goals down against Crystal Palace and smacking 5 past them. I think there might be a little bounce in our step, a little bit more of, do you know what? A bit of a reminder of who we are. And sorry, Michael Landris. Yeah, that's what you're saying. I think that's what you're saying, ultimately. A reminder, we are City. But I think the players have needed a reminder themselves.
Yeah, it's a tough game. I think if Everton don't allow chances, whereas the way Villa play, they allow chances for the opposition because they're quite open, they're high line and all the rest of it. So Everton won't. They'll be sat there against us. They will just sit there and say, "They'll break us down and we'll try and catch you." Villa won't play that way. They will come to us and say, "Oh, well, we're going to try and play a bit open and we'll see how we get on." So I would fancy us to beat Villa. Villa are a very good team, great manager, but I would fancy us to beat Villa. The Everton one's more difficult, but I do think we'll win both. I think we'll just beat Everton, and I mean just. I think it'll be really, really close, but I think we'll nick it. And, 60, 70 minutes we'll score, and that'll hopefully be enough. But I do think, I fancy us to win that. And I don't see any reason why we drop any points between now and the end of the Premier League season. And the FA Cup, Forest are doing really well. It's going to be tough, but the FA Cup's there as well. So there's a good, chance to end this season really, really positively. Rodri, I believe, is going to be back shortly. That's good news. We're going to start seeing him in training picks fairly soon. So
I was thinking really that. I'm waiting for him to come out.
Yeah,
we're getting to that point, aren't we?
Yeah, it's not long, I don't think. So you're going to start seeing Rodri. He's already training. He's already doing bits, and he's in the gym. And he's out on the pitch playing and stuff. So we are going to see Rodri back. We'll start seeing other players, Stones, Akanji and Ake. They're all due back shortly. So for how long is another question. But we get them all back, and then everyone hopefully ends the season on a positive, hopefully win the FA Cup and go over for this Club World thing.
Yeah. And get back on a positive. Sorry, I've just got this comment. Bro, I didn't need my glasses. I didn't need my glasses to know that. Bro, no shit, Sherlock. Okay, springs to mind. Yeah, but let's be real. We've underachieved we've probably even underachieved in the FA Cup with our performances, right? We've underachieved. Do you know what? Yeah, we've sucked this season. For us, we have sucked this season.
Daps, can I just say, just on something, and Ed's hinted at it here with Haaland being back in a few weeks, I was told a couple of days ago that if City get to the FA Cup final, that they could have Stones, Akanji, Ake, Rodri and Haaland all back, but in some way in that squad for that day. Imagine the boost.
100%, 100%. This is what we need, and that's how Kevin De Bruyne should go out. We started talking on Kev. We can end on it. There's one other thing. Yeah, other big game this weekend for me is where I am now is Arsenal and Liverpool. They're first and second. I wanted third. I would have accepted fourth. I'm now at a point. Give me fifth if need be. And I'm kind of going, look, Forest are dropping off, but let's say they get one of the three places. Newcastle, the form they're in, I think they get one of the places. We need the other one. So this weekend, we need Newcastle to tear Aston Villa a new one. Because I can't see Villa beating Newcastle. We need Newcastle to take points off of Villa this weekend massively.
Yes, that would be good. It'll be interesting to see what the Villa reaction is now that they're out the Champ League, and they gave it a hell of a go. Great game, great 2 games against Paris. And Paris are very, very good, as we saw. They're brilliant. One of the best teams. In fact, they could win it. So Champ League. But Villa is good. This is where I'm very intrigued to see how they react, because they've got 2 huge games now, Newcastle and City, which is their entire season. If they blow up and lose those 2, they're going to be in the Europa. So, and that'll be really disappointing end to the season to them. But yeah, I'm very interested to see Aston Villa, because they're a good team, good manager, good players. So I think they might have a bit of a bounce back. I think they might draw with Newcastle, which if it's a draw, that suits us down to the ground.
Yeah, do you know what? A draw would be even better. I don't know. What's this? Where is it? Daps, you now have to announce Tone from the Mancunian Way. Lol, he's joined the family. You're now part of Mancunian Way?
Yeah, I am, yeah. Martin and the lads kindly asked me to join, and yeah, absolute pleasure to join. It's great. I had my first show with them, or I've been on before, but first show as part of the group last week. It's great. But yeah, I'm on there now. He bloody plugging his channel, isn't he?
I know, disgraceful. Coming around here, plugging your channel. I tell you what, you'll never see me You'll never see me in Mancunian way plug-in channels shamelessly like that. Or even mentioning a certain podcast that you and Martin might have. You got anything coming up on Mancunian way or on the podcast that we need to know about?
Mancunian Way, I think there's a show on tonight, I believe. I won't be on there, but maybe next Thursday. But there will be a new podcast out Sunday night, Easter Sunday night. And yeah, should be a good one.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, people, I'm just trying to find something because I've promised someone that I will redirect. So let me see if I can do it. Yep, got it. Right, plugged in. Right, we also have, so hopefully this weekend I will put out an official schedule. We're trying to be more organised. I've had my holiday now, and now we're back. So let me just tell you about 2 shows we do have tomorrow. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, I have my usual morning show. However, this will now be a weekly show with LB. It's either going to be 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow evening, I really want you to make sure you're joining this one. It's probably going to be called We Are the South Stand, this show. It's with myself. It's with Mason, who's been on the channel a couple of times. It's going to be with my good friend Eddie, who runs Withenshaw Blues. And listen, anyone that's seen me or follows me on Instagram, you will have seen him. He's all over my Instagram. Same with Mike, Mad Mike from Leicester. Basically, it's all me and Steve's boys that we actually go to the game with. We go on away trips with. They don't do YouTube. Friday evenings, they like to have a drink. So I thought, you know what? Let's have a drink and talk City. So it might be mayhem. I don't know how many weeks we'll be able to keep it going for because it could get a bit loopy, but I want you all to be there. And the final thing is next week as well, we do have 2 shows with We Are 1894 on to talk about the latest protests that we're doing. Again, it's great that the ticket prices have been frozen, but season tickets, we need to hear more. And there's many other matters that they're going to come on and speak about. And also, I have a new show starting next week with Sheikh from Twitter. Anyone that's on Twitter, he's not actually a sheikh, but he's a really good lad, and he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. Bit like Tone, to be fair. He knows his stuff. Nothing like me. But on that night, no, we are going to redirect over to Igal's channel. So it's going to be a panel show, talking City, talking Arsenal, talking Man United. I'm just going to drop in there and say hello because I think he wants an apology for me probably saying that they weren't going to beat Madrid. But anyway, on that note, people, we are out, and I will see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.